All right, guys, welcome back to the Quiet Light podcast. I'm super excited to have Kristin Ostrander on today from Mommy Income and the Amazon Files podcast. Super excited to have you on today. We're going to be talking about a number of topics which can make an Amazon business more valuable. And specifically, I want to delve into the topic of speaking about bundling products together. I've seen this in the past with some of my clients who have bundled together products and have had great success with it. I think it's a super smart way to add new products to the mix without necessarily adding new products, if that makes sense. I'm sure you're going to speak to it really intelligently, much more so than I am. Before we jump in, guys, just a quick reminder, this is being brought to you by Quiet Light. If you have an Amazon business, if you have a non-Amazon business, an online digital asset, and you want to get a valuation of it, please reach out to us. We're happy to do this for free. We want to give you some visibility as to what your business might be worth if you were to consider going to market and selling, or maybe you just want to know what it's worth to sell in 2 or 3 years and just want to get that visibility. So if you have any interest in that, reach out to us. We do these valuations for free to give you visibility. With that, Kristin, welcome. Super happy to have you on here. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Amazon bundling, making businesses more valuable. Let's start out a little bit with what you like to talk about. Obviously, bundling is one of the things, but let's get just kind of an overview on the podcast that you host and Mommy Income as well, and the mission that you have there.
So I started in e-commerce back in 2003. I started as a stay-at-home mom. I started selling on eBay. I moved to Amazon in 2008. It started with thrifting books and retail arbitrage, and then moved into wholesale, private labeling, and then, of course, my wholesale bundles system and framework that I kind of created. After trying all these different business models, I finally landed on bundling. So at Mommy Income, that's where I teach people to start and grow businesses on Amazon. And I really like to focus on teaching people to build sellable assets. So I know there's a lot of business models out there and a lot of different places people source products and different things, but I try to teach my students to start building an asset that they can sell eventually. You don't want to do your business forever. Eventually you want to either pass it down or sell it to someone else. So I love to be able to teach people these concepts that help them build something that's long-term, sustainable, that gives them, credibility and legitimacy within their online business. So that's kind of what I do over at Mommy Income, and I mainly do that with videos and podcasting and online courses. So my podcast is the Amazon Files, and we do interviews, I do solo episodes, and have special guests on there to talk about different things, and we talk all things Amazon and entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You've been doing this for a while. I have as well. 2003. I don't always get the chance to speak to people who have been doing this since 2003, which is awesome. I know the experiences that you've gone through because those of us that have been in the game for that long have had a lot of the same experiences, waiting for the Google dance back in those days, and then now today, watching the rise of Amazon. Pretty cool. So you teach a lot about selling, building valuable assets. I'd love to know some of the principles that you're teaching people as you're trying to help them build something that could be sellable in the future.
Our Amazon businesses, what I've heard from small business people, people who want to stay at home. I've mainly focused a lot on stay-at-home moms, but I've realized that I'm reaching a huge audience besides that. So I've broadened my horizons a little bit that way. But I started as a stay-at-home mom and wanted to do some business from home. So it started as a small side hustle. But as I started to grow, I really realized the potential profit in building a business like this. Honestly, I didn't know I was building a real business or a real asset in the beginning. I was doing thrifting and retail arbitrage and things like that are great and can bring great profits and even into the millions of dollars. But when you go to what is my exit strategy, or what am I going to do when I want to retire or move on to something else, then those are things that you realize, things like retail arbitrage or what I call different side hustle type ways of sourcing product is not sustainable, and it's not reliable as far as sourcing and selling products. So when I realized that eventually I needed an exit strategy for my business, and going from growth to sustainability, was that I needed more secure supply chains. And so I started looking into wholesale, and that was great, except for the profit margins weren't as healthy as I wanted them to be, and there were tons and tons of competition as I started to grow. And so that's what I did with bundling. Is I thought, what can I do to kind of marry private label, because there's tons of risk involved in creating some of your own brands, especially if you're new and not sure what you're doing, and wholesale. And so that's what I came up with, like wholesale bundling, is instead of reinventing the entire wheel, I just kind of reinvent half the wheel with pairing products together that naturally go together in without having to create a whole line of products or my own particular brand in when I created these wholesale bundles.
So talk to me a little bit about why bundling works. Like, why is it that this can create something that maybe wins somebody's purchasing decision? And I imagine most buyers are not looking specifically for bundles. They're typically looking for a product that's in a bundle. So why does it work to convince people to buy these instead of the individual product?
Well, there's two reasons. For buyers, it works because a customer on Amazon is, different than every different type of business model has different customers. The Amazon customers enjoy speed and convenience. They really want convenience. They want things dropped at their door every, 2-day shipping, Amazon Prime. And so that shows us a little bit into the customer's mentality. They're not necessarily our price conscious type people, although we all can be price conscious, but price isn't really their main point of buying. What their main point of buying usually is speed, convenience, and variety. And when it comes to speed, convenience, and variety, bundles are amazing and meet the customer's needs because it saves them time. And as smart Amazon customers know, when you can save them time, you're saving them money, and they're happy to pay a premium for that. So when they can get something that they're buying anyway together, then that's one less click. That's one less thing they have to add to the cart. That's one less package that's going to arrive at their door. So they gladly recognize that, and say they were looking for, my daughter plays the Nintendo Switch. And so as I was looking for a Nintendo Switch bundle to complete her Christmas gift, and I found one that had all sorts of different accessories all in one bundle. Now, I could have bought them separately and wanted just a few things and cherry pick, but that takes time. So when I put Nintendo Switch accessories into Amazon, all these different bundles came up, and that was perfect for me as a customer. And so that's kind of the concept of bundles. The customer immediately recognizes you're saving them time by not having to shop around and add multiple things to the cart. So it really works for the customer and therefore for the seller.
Yeah, I know, like an example I saw, this was years ago, was somebody who was selling telescopes, and he decided to bundle together those telescopes with, these were kind of like introductory telescopes, right? They were pretty good for like parents getting them for their kids. And then you bundle them with beginner's star maps, a guide there. So you can imagine somebody for Christmas, a parent buying for their kid for Christmas, thinking, oh, my kid will want a telescope. And then they see this and they think, oh, this is great. We won't just be looking up at random blackness, which anyone who's bought a telescope knows that's what you do initially. You're like, where are the stars? I can't find them, right? But the star maps are a great bundle there. So I think there's that. How do you have a strategy when it comes into the pricing of bundles? Do you try to keep things within a certain range of maybe the product? And then I guess sort of the tack on question there would be, do you look when you're researching this, how do you find products that might be good bundling? Are you looking for high search visibility? Are you looking for something else? I mean, where's the starting thread that you look at to say, I'm going to find a good bundle to start working on?
Just your pricing, I'm going to tackle pricing first because I think that that's some of the easiest things to go over. As we talked about before, the customer's recognizing that you're saving them time and presenting them with convenience. And so they're willing to pay a premium for that. Most people aren't going to worry about, if they're really price conscious, they're not going to buy a bundle. They're going to go shop around us. But I think that the rule of thumb for bundling is adding a 10 to 20% premium to what you would buy these items separately, if your margin allows. Now, every product, an even product bundle, has a price threshold. So I like to play around with pricing. At first, I always start high and see what I can get. If sales aren't as well as I want to, I can lower down a couple dollars to see where the price threshold is. But I've also done the opposite, starting a bundle, say at $39.99, and it's selling quickly. I add $1, then another $1, and I kind of find where the sweet spot is to where, we're still getting steady flow of customers without, losing all the, profit or pricing people out. So there's usually usually a premium of, I would say at least 10% of a markup, up to 20% of a markup of what the items would cost individually. So if you've got 3 items in your bundle, both selling individually for $9.99, you could easily charge $33, $35 for that bundle. And customers are happy to pay that because they know it's all going to come in one box, and they're going to get it at the same time, and they've only had to do 2 things. They add to cart and swipe to buy now or whatever they need to do. So it's really saving them time without, shopping those things around. So pricing is really, over my experience with bundling over the past 6 years has been that I can healthily charge 10 to 20% above what people are paying in order to get that premium for kind of a convenience fee, if you will. So that's the kind of the pricing strategy. Now the strategy around finding profitable bundles to sell is I developed a whole framework. It's a 12-step framework where you go through to kind of vet an idea, vet a product. I start with a catalog of things I have access to. So go to trade shows, or if you have some vendors that you're already working with, start looking at their stuff and looking at asking yourself a question. Part of the framework is going through with this product and asking the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the product. Who's using it? Where are they going to use it? How are they going to use it? Are they the end user? Are you giving it as a gift? What room is this used in? How is it used together with other products? And as you start thinking about that, you can start building things together. Like you were talking about the telescope and the star maps. That is a perfect example of what somebody can use. If you're giving the customer a value add with the product they're already using, something that that they need. So I always ask people to start with their knowledge bank. Start with something you already know about, one of your hobbies, one of your careers, lines of work, something that you know a lot about, and start building products from there, because you've done product research in your life. You just don't realize it. You've done it by looking up things that, for your own hobbies, or for, if people go boating or fishing, they know, oh, this works. This is a trick. This is a hack. So putting all those things together in a way that, the customer would benefit from, and showing them the value there. Some people look at frequently bought together on Amazon. If they have one product that's selling well, they look at other things that people are buying together, but that's just one way, because sometimes you'll see cereal frequently bought together with toilet paper, and clearly that's not a great bundle. So you have to use some common sense there, but also realize that's where you can kind of spring the ideas forth and say, hey, I've got this bestseller in my store already. What can I bundle with this? Because bundling also really keeps competition away. If you're bringing, I like to do a hybrid of, I bring wholesale products along with my own private label products and bundle them together. And so now I have a unique product that no one else can even hijack or copy or jump on my bundle, because I've created myself a unique brand for my item, and I also pair it with other wholesale items to create a brand new, I do a lot of gift baskets as part of bundling. And so it really have kind of created some brands around those things to be able to set it apart from competition. So when somebody's searching, a Mother's Day gift set, there's tons in there, but if they're looking for a Mother's Day mug, which mine happens to include, then the attributes will bring the traffic.
Sure. And that makes sense. Are there verticals, niches, types of products that do not lend themselves well to bundling?
Well, there's categories I stay away from for liability reasons, and things like, things that are hard to explain. So normal things that are hard to sell online because they need an explanation, or they have to have some sort of video, which Amazon's doing way better at allowing people to include video. But if it cannot be easily explained in an 80-character title, then maybe it's not a good idea to bundle it. So you don't want to be keyword stuffing, but you want to make sure that people are coming to your listing because they're searching the key attributes of what you're selling. So making sure that you can easily and simply, I cannot say this enough, simply explain what you're selling. People try to get fancy with things, but if you're selling a black duffel bag, sell a black duffel bag. You don't have to try to get fancy about the keywords, because that's really what your customers are looking for. So I stay away from liability categories. I feel like a lot of things that are heavily recalled, like in the baby category, or topicals, or anything that's ingested or digested or on your skin, I choose to stay away from just for liability issues. But most of the time, other categories I've done really well with. Home and kitchen categories. They're so wide and broad, and there's so many different categories. Toys, stationery, industrial and scientific, a lot of hobby making type of do-it-yourself craft type kits do really well. So a lot of things, and accessories to major products. Those are things that I feel like are the greatest categories for bundling.
Have you noticed an impact from Amazon's frequently bought together? I know you already mentioned this a little bit, but this seems to be Amazon saying let's bundle algorithmically. I can't say the word right now, and trying to help people buy more items. Does this impact the ability for people to make money from bundles?
They've been doing this for a long time, and I've been doing bundling as long as they've been doing frequently bought together, and it hasn't been hurting my sales. I spread through multiple categories as well. I have multiple, I carry about 200 SKUs on a regular basis, and they're all bundles. And so it's not huge, but it's also not, so small that you have 5 or 6 brands. So, and Amazon actually recently started virtual bundling, but I've heard nothing but complaints from customers when it comes to virtual bundling, because what happens is it's kind of that frequently bought together. They're presenting to the customer these 3 items, but then what happens is Amazon is still shipping these items individually and from different places, and they arrive separately. And if you're trying to send a gift to someone across the country and it comes in 3 boxes and it comes from at different times, that's a bit awkward for little Johnny's birthday when he was supposed to get all 3 of these dinosaurs together, and somehow it comes in different boxes. So that's why bundling is really versus coming in different ways, because people use Amazon to ship things to other people as much as they're buying for themselves. And so considering the customer is of utmost importance, and with Amazon's frequently bought together, that's certainly great suggestions, but I say sellers take those ideas and make their own bundles with them, because they can charge a premium and get all of the sales and all that profit in their own pocket versus Amazon kind of taking the lion's share.
Yeah, no, and I think there's an element of soul there, right? I mean, Amazon is putting in the numbers and spitting out the results, as opposed to thinking maybe creatively about some of these things. I'd imagine there's some opportunity for margin with these bundles, right? Where maybe selling a widget that you would normally be able to get a 20% margin, if you're bundling it with something else, you might be able to get a little bit higher margin on it because of the bundle and the added value of the complementary aspect of that. Am I thinking about that right, or does that not work in real life?
That's exactly why I moved to bundling, because honestly, I didn't, as a small, we were home based for a really long time. Now we use a prep center facility, so we're not facilitating all the incoming and outgoing inventory, and they handle all that, and they do all of our bundling for us. But I was in-house for a long time using my garage and my spare room and things like that for, product bundling and sending and receiving for quite a long time. And we obviously outgrew that. But the greatest thing about the bundling is the reason I moved into it. It was because when I first started selling wholesale, I realized that if I don't get into the volume game, I'm not going to make any money. I'm going to make pennies on the dollar by selling wholesale items, and I'm going to have to sell 5,000 units a month of each thing just to kind of, make a living rather than, make a decent living. And so that didn't appeal to me. I wanted to work a little bit smarter, and it's definitely front-loaded work. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. You're doing all the work up front, but then once you create a bundle and you put it out there and it starts selling, then all you have to do after that is just reorder the same bundle. And if you have your own warehouse, great. Or if you're doing it yourself, great. But we do it to the prep center. And so it really makes us completely remote and mobile, which is the lifestyle that I wanted with a business I could build. And so what happened was, without being a volume seller, I wanted to be more of a margin seller. And so I looked at how I could increase my bottom line, increase my margins per unit I was selling. And so what Wholesale Bundles does is really create that value for your customer, because you could be putting a product in your bundle that costs you $1, but the customer sees that as a $10 value. So they're willing to pay even $5 more for that bundle because they think they're getting this $10 thing along with the bundle. And it's kind of a margin game. So our margins are very healthy for that reason. We want to be a margin selling company, not based on volume, because simply it's just less work to work with margins instead of volume.
The logistics of this, I would imagine, have a little bit of an additional complexity, because you actually have to put the products together. Like you said, yeah, you order a set of dinosaurs for your kid or for a gift, and you don't want them to come at 3 different times because one of the suppliers is delayed 3 weeks, right? It's annoying. I know I had that recently with a gift I got for my wife, right? It was a bunch of different products, and I think this was like a year ago. We're still waiting on one. It was just a failed present. So the logistics of this, are you bringing in all this inventory and then assembling the bundles together and then shipping it off to Amazon? Do you recommend using maybe a 3PL or an Amazon prep center to be able to do this? What's the best way to attack the actual bundling of these things together?
I started in home and we started bundling and trying out the bundle concept ourselves. So we had my mom and I are business partners, and we brought in a couple employees, and we were doing it here for many years, but we grew very tired of that, because yes, that's how it works. We use multiple suppliers. Some bundles are from the same supplier, but we use multiple suppliers for multiple bundles. We receive the inventory, and then we are packing and shipping those items. So we use a third-party Amazon prep facility so they receive and do all that. So we have, there's some logistics involved, and yes, there's back orders involved. And there's sometimes where bundles get held up because someone's late, and things like that. But that's just part of doing business. Even especially now, post-COVID, post major, COVID issues, supply chains are really backed up right now. So you just kind of have to expect some slow suppliers or back orders or things like that. And over time, people learn how to do proper inventory management, learn which suppliers are on time and which aren't, and that helps balance the bundle a little bit. So be prepared to have that sort of thing happen. But as you're waiting for maybe one supplier to come in, your multiple bundles are still going out with other things. So logistics are definitely something to handle. It's a little bit more complicated than straight wholesale, but the margins really make it worth it.
Sure. How do you test a bundle? I mean, the scary thing is, right? Like, testing a product is one thing. It's one product. You're putting it out there. Testing a bundle, you're putting multiple things together and hoping that the combination A works, and B, that there's the desire for this. C, that people say, well, I wanted this, I didn't want that, so no, I don't want that. So is there an efficient way to test before going through the work of ordering multiple sets of products to be able to put together in packages and then doing the work of assembling and putting that out?
What a wholesale bundle framework that I teach is really the test of your bundle before you put it out there. Obviously, there's some risk. You're going to have to, put a product out there. Nothing's going to be tried and true. I mean, if we all have ever jumped on a trend and had, half of a garage full of product that didn't sell, timing the market, so to speak, is that sort of thing. But my framework really helps people to nail down the data and the research before they spend $1 on inventory. So by the time you're bringing your bundle to the market, you should have a strong sense of confidence that this bundle is going to sell. Now, the greatest thing about wholesale bundles is that, unlike a private label or a white label product, you don't have to buy 10,000 bundles to sell. We have many, many suppliers that you can buy 2 or 3 cases of something, which could be less than a few $100s. And so, that's not a huge risk. And so that's what's great about wholesale bundling, is that, number one, if you're using proper research and using, my favorite tool to use is Merchant Words. I also use Helium 10 for research, but mostly with Merchant Words, because you're looking at supply and demand. You're looking at all of the research data points before you make a decision. So obviously, you're not going to put your cereal and your toilet paper together and hope it sells, because clearly you've done some research and realized people don't buy these together. And there's beyond Amazon data, which I know a lot of people are widget and data sellers. They only look at numbers and they say, if these numbers don't make sense, I'm out of here. But the reality is, you have to think like a customer. You have to go to places like Pinterest and Etsy and eBay and do some market research, because really you're doing a percentage of what you would do for a real product launch, except for you're using things that are already existing, that customers are already searching for. And you're realizing that with frequently bought together, plus looking at other marketplaces to see what is selling with other items, that you're bringing a product to the market that customers really want to buy. And so your risk is a lot lower than, say, a private label product that you probably have to order 10,000 units of to get started. I've started with as little as 12 bundles to get started and just say, let's see if this works. And Unfortunately, when I start so small is when I have regret, because it's like, wow, this sold so fast, and now I have to, I'm out of stock for a couple of weeks while I still restock. So it depends on your risk level when it comes to first testing. But the good news about wholesale bundling is it really doesn't take a ton of upfront investment in order to test to see if a product is going to sell the way that you'd like it to.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot, and if you can't answer, I will understand, right? Because maybe you can't give away some of the secret sauce here. I'd love to know a couple of bundles that you saw over your many years of doing this, where you're like, that was awesome, that was brilliant. And maybe, gifts seem so natural, right? You're buying a Mother's Day gift, bundle that stuff together. Maybe something that doesn't like go right down the heart of the plate there of gifts, where you thought that was a super creative idea. I just think examples help prime the pump sometimes to get people thinking.
Sure. We used to do a lot of grocery bundles. We decided to move away from that for various reasons, mostly tax liability and insurance issues. But that was just our personal risk we didn't want to take. But one of our favorite and best-selling bundles for probably 2 years were in the grocery department, and they were flavored coffee creamers, like International Delight individual coffee creamers. They made like Almond Joy flavored and peanut butter chocolate flavor, and like there was 4 different varieties. And we could not sell these fast enough, and we actually discontinued them when Amazon changed their policy about expiration dates. And their expiration dates used to be 6 months, and then they moved it to 3 months, and then that was just too close for comfort for our things to consider being by Amazon. You have to pull it off the shelf in 50 days before or something like that. They have some crazy rules. But things like that, to where we created this variety pack. Variety packs of food products do extremely well. So Taco Bell makes like 5 different hot sauces, for example, you can buy at the grocery store. Those types of bundles where people put all 5 together just do really well. And that's different than a multi-pack where you're selling like 3 of the same hot sauce or something like that, which is technically not a bundle, but it's still within the bundle concept. It's just listed differently because it's not a bundle. So that's just like kind of logistics or, semantics, I guess. But really, variety packs of different items. So another great category was in children's clothing. Selling the same t-shirt or a variety pack of t-shirts, say a 4T for a little boy that's got 4 different designs on it. I mean, it's really basic when you have children that are growing fast to just add really basic things like that to the cart. Oh, here's 5 shirts. This is a new wardrobe for my kid just right now. So really anything like, so we've sold things like that. Our grocery bundles did really well, and all the variety packs. We never really did multi-packs. So, things that are regional for you. So if you said you're in a Minnesota area, if there's certain things in your area that are really manufactured there and kind of a regional thing, those things actually do really well on Amazon. We have some local manufacturers here that they only make a certain amount of candy or sauces and things, and people move out of state and then they're like, we want the Sanders hot fudge. Like that was something that was a really big seller for us for a while. And we put it in the dark chocolate and milk chocolate variety, and it sold like crazy. So those are kind of natural and easy ones to kind of break ground with. But some of our current bestsellers are in the home decor space. We sell 2 packs of decorative rugs, like just smaller, a throw rug or whatever. And those do really well as well, just the same exact rug. So that's technically a multi-pack, I guess. But, those types of things. People are change their decor regularly and for the seasons. And seasonal bundles are more work because sometimes they come and go more quickly than other things, but they can be a gold mine if you do it correctly. So Christmas and Halloween are our favorite holidays to hit for bundling when it comes to things like just decorations. When I say decorations, I don't mean like disposable, like party decorations, although those are great options as well. But we mean more like tablecloths and, signs that people hang on their wall, or front door decorations. People are always changing those things. So you always want to look at things that probably have a short shelf life for your customers, so that they're always coming back for more ideas, because that keeps you in business.
Boy, just hearing you talk, I'm thinking, I bet Pinterest would be great market research for this. Just
Absolutely.
taking a look at the stuff and the mix of products there, and then putting it together into a whole set. I want to bring this full circle because we're almost out of time here, because you teach a lot of your clients about building value into their businesses for hopefully a future exit. So we focus on bundling, which is great. That's what I wanted to focus on today. I think it's a great concept. I often talk about how in the Amazon ecosystem, we go from arbitrage, which you know about, and there's not a lot of value in a business like that. There's wholesale, which has problems, and then private label and proprietary brands. And bundling kind of it fits in that mix there as being you're creating something really, really unique there. And I love it. I think it's a very creative way to create value and distinction that is survivable, right? And this is always what we're looking at with Amazon businesses for value. I want to know a little bit, your thoughts on bundling and how it creates value in the long term for potential buyers who are looking at this, looking at a business for sale, and just some of the things that you find to be really important when it comes to building value into an Amazon business.
I think some of the things specifically with Amazon is getting some sort of trademark brand. And so when I say that, I don't necessarily mean a brand you're going to bring to a brick and mortar retail store like Target or Best Buy, something like that. I'm talking about building a bundle brand and then trademarking said bundle brand. So I often joke that Kristin's favorite things is my bundle brand. And that's obviously not my brand. But the idea there is like I'm building Kristin's favorite things gift sets, and I still have a trademark and a brand, and I have custom packaging, and I do all of these things fairly inexpensively. But what it does is you're building a brand without building a brand that needs all of the outlying things that a retail brand would need. But you have the protections of brand registry on Amazon, where you don't have other people, competing against you. I have zero direct competitors on any of my listings. I own the buy box 100% of the time for all of my listings because they're all under my bundle brand. And so no one can jump on and tank my price. And then I have all these price wars and things like that. And I often bring something unique and add value to the table. And I've actually had my business evaluated before by someone, and that's something they told me that made it extremely valuable was the business model of the wholesale bundling, because I have the strong reliability and sustainability of strong wholesale suppliers that have been in business a long time. So I don't carry the liability of, these are all my products, and if I screw up, then the whole ship sinks. So if one supplier discontinues something, I can always go to another supplier and fight it. So I have really healthy, reliable, sustainable suppliers. And because I'm building bundles with those items, that makes it more valuable. But also the creativity that's involved, the couple of trademarks that I own, and the legitimacy of being an S corp and having the different things set up properly, it makes it really a valuable asset, especially since it's a margin game. There's a lot less I want to say less moving parts. Well, there's some less moving parts, but it's not as much as we don't have 1,000 SKUs. We don't have we're diversified, but in a small way that makes it easy to manage. We have my mom, myself, one admin, and our prep facility. So we don't have a huge team. We don't have huge overhead of a warehouse and all that thing. So using a prep facility and just a couple of small team members, this is a very manageable, high profitable business as it's set up without as many moving parts as a huge company.
That's awesome. Where can people find more? I'm sure people are interested in this framework that you have to be able to evaluate this. What would be good information or good places for them to find more information about what you teach here?
So everything's on mommyincome.com. So you can go to mommyincome.com, and it's Mommy Income on all the social channels. And then the podcast is called the Amazon Files. So all of those things will lead you right to where you want to go. The system is called the Wholesale Bundle System, and that comes with the exclusive framework of how to do the research and really execute your bundles well.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.